Hello, Internet. I'm here in Alaska with LeggLife, and they have some questions for me, and I thought that it might help you guys ask me some questions if they asked me some questions. If you came over here from the video on their channel, welcome and thank you. We're going to talk some about Disney cruises, Disney Vacation Club, being an annual pass holder for Walt Disney World, living in Florida, Central Florida, and being very close to Disney World, and maybe how that's changed how I see the parks and how I go to the parks. So I'm a Platinum Disney Cruiser. I've been on 15 Disney cruises. I'm a DVC owner and have owned DVC points since 2015. I moved to Central Florida in 2016 and have been an annual pass holder at Walt Disney World since 2018.
So one of the things that we have done since we met Auburn is absolutely pepper her with questions because so many of her Disney experiences are different than the Disney experiences that we've had. And we've loved hearing her stories about the way that she does Disney, the way that she cruises, the way that she does DVC. And we've had so many questions for her. And so we thought, what a fun video, basically for us, just to kind of bombard her with all of our questions. So that's exactly what we're going to do today.
So the first question we have for you has to do with going to the parks. So when we go to the parks, it only happens once or twice a year, if that. And we sort of feel like we need to, kill ourselves and to just go and get everything in because we have to get our money's worth. How has being an annual pass holder changed how you view going to the parks, if at all?
I never kill myself at the parks anymore.
That sounds like a dream.
It's great because I never feel the rush like I have to hurry to get something done. If a fast pass isn't available, I probably won't go. I never really feel like I've got to hurry to get my money's worth. Sometimes I just hop up to the parks just, to take a nice walk.
That's so nice.
That's one of the things, that is such a foreign concept to us. Because, like Sherri said, we plan a trip around those experiences, and what that experience means is opening to closing, right? We're in parks all day long, and that's what it means.
We have to try to do everything, and we have to try to fit everything into the one day that we're there.
Yeah, and so the thought of being able to go to the parks and experience the things that you love the most, but not leave at the end of the day exhausted and tired and you're just
limping out of the park.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And so I love that that's been your experience. Now that you've gotten to experience the parks that way, you see a lot of other people like us who go to the parks on family vacations, and you've seen how we plan, and it's just that kill yourself to get your money's worth. How do you think other people should experience the parks?
I think it's different for every family. I think it's important for you to realize if this is your only time to get to go, then of course you want to get it all done, you want to see it all, but I think it's also very important to realize there is no way you can do it all or see it all in one trip.
Right.
I know you guys haven't even seen the Disney resorts at Walt Disney World.
We have not.
We've literally never been inside a Walt Disney World resort. We've never been in the lobby. We've never been on property at any Walt Disney World resorts.
Right.
And I think that's a really great way to spend a day without spending much money. You don't need a park ticket to resort hop, and that's one of my favorite things to do. Even as an annual pass holder, I just go up there and hang out at some of the resorts because that's where you find some of the very best food.
And that's something that we've talked a lot about this, spending time with Auburn. I don't know if you guys are like us, but when I first heard the term resort hopping, one of my first mentality was yeah, but aren't I just seeing hotels? Right? Why would I spend my vacation just seeing free hotel lobbies? But as you were explaining, especially around the holidays, the decorations and those things, it's more than just a hotel, isn't it?
It's a resort. It's an experience. It is Disney for a reason. So every resort is magical in its own way. The Polynesian is absolutely fantastic and beautiful and themed deeply.
And I don't think that when we're planning our Disney World vacation, honestly, doing those kind of things never even crosses our mind, partly because we've never done them. It's a foreign experience. But hearing you talk about that, it makes us want to see it, because I think we've realized that the way that we have done Disney, the way that we've done the parks, number one, has been exhausting. But number two, there's a lot of things that we've missed out on, right? Like experiencing the resorts, like doing that. So even just kind of hearing your answer makes us want to get a taste of that side of Disney World.
I think it would be really fun for a family with really little kids who don't want to do a Disney cruise or do the parks. They could go stay at Disney and do a character breakfast in one of the resorts and still get a dose of Disney, still meet some characters, still experience some magic without paying for a park ticket.
Right, without the meltdowns at the park.
Right, without the cast member telling the child you're too short for a ride.
Right.
Without a 4-hour wait for Flight of Passage. Without, sweating and dying in the middle of the summer or getting absolutely poured on in the rain. Disney has some really fun pools at the resorts, and it's really fun to see the different gingerbread houses at Christmas time.
We've got to do that.
We do. Yeah.
And that is one of the things, it's interesting, even just to hear what you just said, I hadn't thought of. When we cruise with Disney, the things that we love is that it's all of the magic of Disney, but it's none of the chaos at the parks. And so even just hearing you describe the resort like that, I'm like, that feels cruise-ish in that there's Disney magic, but it's also not chaos.
Exactly.
Awesome.
If somebody was considering DVC, it's the kind of thing that they've heard about, they've started looking into it, but they're not sure kind of what their first steps would be. What is a piece of advice you give to somebody who is just considering looking into whether DVC works for them?
I would think about what kind of vacation you're going to go on, and are you going to vacation with Disney for the next 50 years?
Yeah.
With DVC, you buy a timeshare for 50 years. But I would look at the different resorts that you might stay at. We bought at Aulani because that's what the deal was for on the ship that we were on, the cruise we were sailing on. I think it's important to pick a resort to buy points at that you think you might stay at.
Right. You've never stayed at Aulani, have you?
I've never stayed at Aulani. We're using our DVC points wrong. We use our DVC points to cruise. We stayed at the boardwalk last December, and we resort hopped just to see all of the resorts dressed up for the holidays, and it was wonderful. But we still have not stayed at Aulani. And the benefit to buying points at a resort you're going to stay at more often is you get an 11-month booking window. Right. So you get more time to book at a resort that you might actually stay at instead of the 6-month booking window for all the other resorts.
Right.
So one of the things that we shared on our channel in a video was that we actually bought into Disney Vacation Club on a Disney cruise. We went to the presentation, really loved what we heard, and then they did tell us though that we had 10 days after we got to land to cancel if we realized that it wasn't going to work for us.
Right.
So we got to land, and just so you guys know, if you're not familiar with us, the way that we travel last minute a lot. Like a lot of our trips are months or weeks out.
Right, usually in like the 3 to 6 month range.
Yeah, and one of the things that we saw was with the way we traveled, it was just hard for us to find the availability that we needed, so we actually canceled DVC. Now, in that video, we talked about how I love Disney Vacation Club. I love the idea. I love everything about it. And we so wish it would work for us. Right. But at the time, it just didn't. However, I've loved hearing your experience because DVC has absolutely worked for you and your family, hasn't it?
Yes, totally. I'm keeping a spreadsheet of the vacations we have gone on and used our points for that we would have paid cash for, and I'm keeping track of what the cash price would have been for those vacations. And we haven't reached our break-even point yet. We've only owned it for 5 years. Not even 5 years. We bought in November. We also bought on a Disney cruise. I think buying DVC or even learning about it is like one of the best things you could do on a Disney cruise. We bought ours on Black Friday, and so we got a special deal. I'm not sure if they do that anymore. But it's one of the greatest things to do on a Disney cruise because you're on a ship. So they're not going anywhere, and you can find them and ask them questions all week long if you're there. And it's not taking you out of the parks that you've paid your ticket price for.
That's true,
right.
Yeah.
Everything's so close. Like they just literally take you downstairs to a room to talk about it. It's one of the coolest things to do on a Disney cruise.
That's one of the things I appreciate about Auburn is that some people are very like, nope, it has to be done this way. But you even admit that like some people DVC works for, and when it does, that's great.
Right.
But when it doesn't, then it just doesn't.
Right. It didn't work for you, and it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for us.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to plan a last-minute trip to Walt Disney World because Disney World doesn't really have a slow season anymore.
That's true.
Right.
So it's busy all the time, especially with new things coming out, new rides. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is open now. Epcot festivals all the time, like Food and Wine, and then Festival of the Holidays. And Festival of the Holidays has a big draw because we have celebrities to do the candlelight procession, which is really fun. And then you've got Festival of the Arts, and then Flower and Garden Festival is one of the big ones.
We're going to switch gears now to cruising. As a Platinum Castaway Club member, you've done a lot of cruises. What is your favorite itinerary?
That's a tough question. I think my favorite itinerary was the westbound Panama Canal cruise I did in the spring of 2019.
Mm-hmm.
It sailed out of Port Canaveral and went to Castaway Cay first before sailing through sailing through the canal, and then it sailed to San Diego, and it was wonderful. It rained on Castaway Cay, but it's the Bahamas. It's probably going to rain about every day. It was just absolutely a wonderful cruise. I really enjoyed the Very Maritime Panama Canal cruise I did last fall, because it was 2 weeks on the ship with a Christmas tree and a gigantic gingerbread house.
Oh my gosh.
And that was absolutely wonderful. I think that the very best weather I ever had on a ship was a transatlantic cruise I did in 2014 from Port Canaveral to Barcelona.
So you know the cruises that we've been on.
Yes.
You also know the cruises that we have not been on.
Yes.
Now you've gotten to know us a little bit. What's a cruise that we have not done that you think we would love?
I think as Alaskans, you live here in Anchorage, I think it would be really interesting for you to do an Alaskan cruise.
Agree.
Agreed, yeah.
But I also think that you would enjoy something like a Panama Canal cruise or in like a transatlantic cruise.
Mm-hmm. Like the longer.
If only because of the time on the ship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get the feeling you guys really enjoy sea days.
100%.
And they're some of my favorite days too. Mm-hmm. And that's really why I love the Panama Canal cruise, because it's so many days at sea.
Right.
Sounds perfect to us. And I know, even talking to you about like what your experience on the Maritime Christmas cruise was, like you showed me some photos of it, and that is on our list as well. Just hearing you talk, we already wanted to do it, but then hearing your experience just makes us want to do it that much more.
Yep.
You have so much time on the ship with other guests. You have time to get to know them and become friends. And even with cast members, you start to get to know them by name, and they start to recognize you, and you can really build some relationships with these people. It's wonderful.
I love that. We do have one more question. As a LeggLife viewer, somebody who's watched our channel, we share all of our Disney adventures. We love doing that. But there are a lot of things that we haven't done. We've never vlogged. What is a vlog of ours that you would love to see? What's something we've never done that you'd like to see a vlog on?
I really like watching your vlogs because I like watching your experience. Something I would really like to watch you do is an inaugural cruise or going to a new park that you've never been to before. I think it would be really cool to get to watch something new that you've never done before, something completely new. I think that would be really fun.
Yeah.
We agree. Yes, 100%.
That sounds fun to do as well.
And I think that's one of the things, like, Disney's always magical, but there really is something about the first time. Like, every time you walk on a Disney ship and they say your name and they clap, it's always special. But that first time, right? Like, there's something about that. I think that's true with most Disney experiences, is that they continue to be magical, but that first moment really is special.
When they're welcoming you to the place where they live for 3 days, 4 days, a week, 2 weeks.
Yep.
It's absolutely magical that they're welcoming you to their home. Welcome to the place where I live.
Right.
I hope you have a wonderful experience.
Exactly.
It's
Yep.
absolutely, one of my favorite things on a cruise. There's nothing like that at Disney World.
No.
So these are just a few of the questions that they have been bombarding me with all week.
Sorry.
There is nothing wrong with asking me questions. That's what I'm here for. I hope that all of you feel welcome to ask any questions that you would like. I will do my very best to answer you honestly, and I will definitely give you my honest opinion about things. So please leave any questions that you might have in the comments below, and you will see me very soon. Have a magical day.